So here we are again. I'm making a video this time about emotacycles. What's an emotacycle, I hear you ask? An emotional cycle. Emotacycle? Get it? And it's a concept I came up with because I spotted that activist groups go through a process where they build up to a big event that's really going to show the evil capitalists or the government or whoever that, you know, we're here and we're not going away and our issue really matters, to the exclusion of all else. So they mobilise instead of movement building, which I'll come back to. The big event happens. Usually it's not as big as the people organising it wanted it to be. There are tensions that emerge about who got to be on the march at the front, which banners were allowed, which ones weren't. There's disappointments that the police were heavy-handed, that the media didn't pay enough attention, that some groups didn't bring as many people as they said they would, and everyone's just flat out exhausted. And then there's a period where everybody's just like, ugh. And then it's, well, what are we going to do next? And in the absence of a clear, locally based plan for capacity building, someone would pipe up and say, I know, we need to have another big event, whether it's a camp or a march. It's within the repertoire of what that organisation does and how you gain status points within that organisation. So they'll go, yeah, that's a great idea, and we'll need all sorts of events leading up to the big event to tell people that it's happening and explain to them that they really ought to get involved if they want to be one of the cool kids. These are what I call feeder events. And then you build up to the big event, it's an orgasmic release of tension, and then there's the aftermath. Now, if the big event is bigger than the previous one, and bigger than the one before that, it can look like you are winning. The problems come when it's clearly smaller than the last one and it can't be explained away as bad weather or bad luck. It looks like the heat is going, or the air is going out of the balloon marked that issue. And then you get into a death spiral situation where people who had been putting their other lives on hold, who had been biting their tongue about bad group dynamics, decide, stuff this, I'm out. And then the meetings get smaller and more people find reasons not to be involved, and everything goes down to a low ebb. Now this is a dynamic that if you've stuck around in social movement organisations for more than 18 months or 2 years, you've seen this happen. The issue changes. It might be a war, it might be an environmental issue, it might be the latest shitty policy of the government, but that cycle of big event, collapse is the emotacycle. Now I'm not saying that emotions have no place in social movements, because I'm not stupid. Of course they do. But when we let our need for attention, affirmation, status, feely-goody emotions dominate, then we can end up with a tail wagging the dog. And I want to finish off on talking about the distinction between mobilising and movement building. So if you offer people the chance to tick the concerned citizen box by coming to a big event, a day's march in London or whatever, where they can express their emotions, they're probably going to take it, where the alternative, movement building, is getting them to develop skills and knowledge and maybe do some boring low status work that doesn't give that emotional release. If you constantly go for mobilisation instead of movement building, your organisation and your ecosystem organisations ends up being quite sparse and brittle, and when things go wrong, there's no, for want of a better term, but it's the right term, resilience in the system. It's only through movement building, by thickening webs of relationships, skills and knowledge between groups, within groups, that you have some hinterland. But that work doesn't give the short-term status and emotional benefits, and so we always mobilise instead of movement building, and we're toast, basically. Cool? Done.